Hello everyone, welcome to this session today on Ayurveda and mental health. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. My audio and video is clear. Just hello. Hi Sudipta, how are you? Good to see you. Hi Hemant. This is a session on Ayurveda and mental health. We're going to have an Ayurvedic doctor join us very soon, and we will cover different topics related to Ayurveda and mental health. Hi Priyanka. Just another 2 minutes or so. So please ask any questions about Ayurveda and the role of Ayurveda in mental health. Hi Savita. Hello everyone, welcome to this session on Ayurveda and mental health. We will have Dr. Sharon join us very soon. This is a session where we'll focus on the Ayurvedic perspective of mental health. We'll focus on anxiety, depression. Hi Shelley, welcome to this live session. The session is going to be on the Ayurvedic perspective of mental health. We'll discuss different mental health conditions ranging from anxiety and depression. We're just waiting for Dr. Sharon to join us in a moment. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner who's been practicing. She has close to 11 years of experience. Hello everyone, just stay tuned for this really exciting session that's coming up on Ayurveda and mental health. In just a few moments, we're going to have an Ayurvedic doctor. Yes, Mystic Review. Yes, so you can consult her. She will give out her details just by the end of the session. So I suggest just hang in there. Right. So this is going to be a session on Ayurveda and what Ayurveda has to say about mental health. So, although mental health, we see this as a modern day lifestyle disorder, there is a lot of wisdom in the ancient Ayurvedic scriptures that talks about different mental health conditions, and we're going to address just that in a moment. Hi, Helen. Yes, Ram. So this is a session about Ayurvedic perspective on mental health, and we have Dr. Sharon. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner who's joining us today to give us more insight into what Ayurveda has to say about mental health. Just a quick introduction to Dr. Sharon. Dr. Sharon Samuel. She's an Ayurveda doctor, and she's part of the PG faculty, and she's also a research guide. She comes with close to 11 years, or rather more than 11 years of experience when it comes to women's health and welfare. She's currently associated with the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Sri Sri College of Ayurvedic Research in Bangalore, just on the Kanakpura Road. And she's also part of several yoga TTC programs, so she's closely associated with yoga programs and bringing the Ayurvedic insight into the TTC programs. She's also part of the Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and particularly the Yoga Council of Karnataka. And she's also a certified hypnotherapist. So we have a wealth of information here, and this promises to be an exciting session. So to start off with, Dr. Sharon, just a little insight into the kind of work you've been doing of late. Would you like to just take us into that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I work with Sri Sri College of Ayurvedic Science and Research, and I'm in the PG department, so I'm a faculty of the PG department there. And so I'm mostly um, uh, into female health. So when we say female health, family health, so we're working on there primarily. And yes, I'm into teaching as well. And that's pretty much what I do.
So wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. So this is
Thank you for having me.
a session on Ayurvedic health and Ayurveda and mental health. Rather. Quickly get into the topic. What does Ayurveda have to say about mental health and you know the mind and body and the connection? Is there a connection between the mind and body?
Yeah, there is a connection, which is why we're talking now, and which is why Ayurveda and yoga work as one unit when it comes to health. We know, Ayurveda is called the holistic science. It's holistic healing, and it's rightly called so because Ayurveda looks at a human being combination of Sharira, Atma, and Manas. So it is like a tripod that supports our existence. So there is no body separately. We never look at a human being as a body. It is Sharira, Atma, and Manas. So we always look at it that way. And when it comes to defining health, good health also, there we talk about a happy mind and a happy soul residing in a healthy body. So that's how health gets a complete definition in Ayurveda. So to put it, there, Ayurveda treatment is incomplete if you don't bring mind into it. So there is no Ayurveda without mind. That's how Ayurveda views the mind.
Wonderful. So whatever we think, that's what we are, or rather, the body and mind are so closely connected that you can't really.
Yeah, it's like that router. You get internet, and you need to get directed to your thing to download and have a fast scrolling neat data. There, mind serves as that thing. And without that functioning well, it's impossible to get that connection. It's that link which holds the body and the soul together. So that's how it is.
So, getting into the mental health or the health of this mind, which you say is so important for the health of the physical body. What does Ayurveda have to say about mental health and any of some of the mental health conditions that there is?
Yeah. So when we look at mental health and mental disorders, the one very noteworthy point which my psychiatrist friend always used to say is that while modern psychology or psychiatry looks at it as a lot of separate entities, Ayurveda, on the other hand, brings it together. And we do not have a section which deals with management and a section which deals with counseling. For us, Manovijnana, that is knowledge of the mind, and Manoroga, diseases of the mind, come as one unit. So that is one way where Ayurveda is finding more results when it comes to mental discomforts. Let me say mental discomforts in trying to direct your thoughts. That's where Ayurveda has a major role to play. If you look at the terms in specific, there are very less there is in literature when it comes to mental disorders, but then there are terms here and there, and we again look at manorogas as a reflection of the sharirika doshas, that is vata, pitta and kapha, along with the mansika doshas, that is rajas, tamas and sattva. So when we bring all of this together and we try to understand different permutations and combinations of how each of them get expressed in our everyday life. So that's how we look at it. And another important thing is that I think Ayurveda looks at everything as a psychosomatic expression. So there is no separation of the psyche. For instance, there is a term called aruchi for loss of appetite. But there's another term called ananna abhilasha, which denotes lack of interest towards food. Now, when you look at it, it looks similar, but then we're giving more importance to how you feel when you are actually in the act of trying to eat your food. So that is how we look at everything. So every disease, when it comes to things to avoid, things to take, we do have a major section which focuses on the mind, how to behave, how to when to wake up. And I've seen in my practice that many times when you make small tweaks in these little activities of yours, like for instance, if the patient constantly puts an effort into waking up even half an hour early in the morning, it has a huge impact in the way they respond to the treatment. So Ayurveda brings everything under the psychosomatic umbrella. And to be very specific, if you really want to know about how Ayurveda talks about Manoroga, I think it all comes under one major umbrella called Unmada. So Unmada is a term which is used to talk about the different kind of um, what to say, different kind of derangements that happen in with respect to your mind. So this involves the way you think, that is chinta, that is thinking too much or thinking about the wrong things or not thinking at all. Or you're rational, that is you don't know what's right for you and what's wrong for you. You really have no idea. Or not being aware of who you are, where you are, what you're doing. Things like this. And also they have also included other thing a lot of other symptoms like your lack of desire towards basic everyday things like sleeping, eating. You don't feel that desire to do anything like that, and your habits start changing, your conduct towards people start changing. You do not have a healthy way of existing, like you don't even feel like taking a bath every day. All these things which you can see under different mental psychiatric disorders like phobia, mania, anxiety and all these depression and all these terms, all of this is brought under the umbrella term of unmada. And when we learn about Unmada, I think we cover most of the psychiatric disorders that we see today. So that's how I think Ayurveda looks at it. So it has every part, every phase of management and diagnosis. The mind is never an additional thing. It's always there. It's
It's
always there.
always part of the entire
Yes,
system,
and I think that's
right?
one major reason why Ayurveda finds long-lasting or more sustainable results when it comes to physical issues as well. Yeah, we have it lasting for a longer period of time because we're tackling the mind too.
True, true. So, from what I understand, from whatever you're saying, I think all the practices of Ayurveda is oriented towards bringing in balance when there is
Yes.
any kind of imbalance, whether it's the physical health or mental health. And I mean, in Ayurveda, there is no differentiation between physical and mental health, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. So, what does Ayurveda have to say about, anxiety? So let's look at anxiety and depression today. And what does Ayurveda have to say about just anxiety in particular? What are the some of the reasons, for anxiety, and how can one address it?
Yeah. So, like, anxiety and depression are the most common expressions of, deranged expressions, expression of emotions. I could rather say that way today. But if you look at it, anxiety, we have to have anxiety. Like, we have to have stress. We have to have anxiety. We need to know when to get anxious. Like, I'm standing somewhere and I know there's a fire going there. I really don't want to enter into that area. I get a bit anxious and I stay back. Yeah. And similarly for depression also, I feel like this is not good for me and I need to take a break. I don't feel like involving in this. I need to take a break. So that's a very that's how these emotions are supposed to be expressed. But this is deranged expression of emotions. What we're talking about, that is anxiety in the form of a disorder or depression in the form of a manifested major depression. So when this happens, this is when we express our emotions in excessively.
Hmm.
So that's how they are manifested. And in Ayurveda, there is a term called dharaniya vegas. We have a terminology called adharaniya vegas, that is your urges that you're not supposed to suppress, like the urge to urinate, the urge to defecate, the urge to belch. These are things you're not supposed to suppress. But there are a certain group of urges which you are expected to suppress. That is, which you're expected to have control over and not just give them out in its own form, but
Hmm.
try and give it out as and when required based on your rationale. So if you look at anxiety, anxiety is basically fear.
Hmm.
Yeah. And depression is a feeling of sadness. Yeah.
Hmm.
So bhaya, shoka. Bhaya is fear and shoka is sadness. And various other Vegas have also been told, like envy, jealousy, and ill feeling towards the other person. So all of these are expected to be controlled by you, be, you know, based on your buddhi. You're supposed to
Hmm.
control these things. But
Hmm.
then, because of trauma, previous experiences, or most importantly, lack of knowledge,
Hmm.
ignorance, knowledge in the sense lack of, you don't know how to cope up or come
Hmm.
back from that particular situation because of life's traumatic experiences. You tend to associate everything with a past fear, and you also tend to associate everything with the negative emotion that you've had in your previous few years,
Hmm.
because of which you tend to express these emotions excessively.
Hmm.
So as primarily it's about orienting children, and I'll say children because that's right. That's where you can actually educate them, tell them that you this is how it is and this is how it works, and you can come to me if you need me and things like that. So educating or creating awareness in people, that's one of the prime ways of addressing anxiety and depression. And once it manifests, Then you come to the treatment aspect of it, which again Ayurveda has been seeing stunning results. So we have management aspects, both in the form of therapy as well as in the form of medicines. So therapy, Sattva Vajay Chikitsa, we call, where it's educating or totally, orienting the patient towards their Atma Vigyan, that is trying to understand themselves.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
try to create an awareness in the patient about their problems, their issues, so that they can find a solution to it, which again is the only solution to mental health disorders, getting it from them. So that's what Ayurveda tries to do. And while doing that, we also do therapies like Panchakarma and also medications. Plenty of medications are available to suit to these disorders. So that's how Ayurveda, I think, looks at both anxiety as well as depression. They are just different expressions of different doshas. So we try to find out the dosha and try to treat the patient accordingly.
So you're saying self-awareness is the way to
Yes,
go when it comes
key is
to
the key. Yes,
treating mental health.
I think everybody would agree with that. That's the only way to go.
Yeah, I think that is also where both Ayurveda and yoga merge, because
Yes, yes,
yogic practices are all about, building the self-awareness,
yes,
and I think
yes.
Ayurveda is on the similar theme, and they both merge wonderfully in that
And
aspect.
there's one more point, like where yoga and pranayama play a role is that manasika rogas or diseases related to the mind have a role played by vata dosha. Vata dosha is like that dosha which is always moving. It's like air, no, it keeps moving. It doesn't stay anywhere. It's a uh, very, naughty kind of a dosha. It doesn't
Very
listen to you actually.
dynamic.
And yeah, vata is like that. Mind is also like that. So we have to put both together. And medicines can't do it. No, you can't do it only by medicines. You need an external support in the form of therapy and yoga, because yoga tends to align the doshas together, primarily vata dosha. Pranayama is one of the key techniques to balance the vata dosha, and that's how we see a lot of results that patients are compliant enough to do pranayama and yoga.
Yeah, yeah. I think pranayama or breath practices serve as a sort of a bridge between your
Yes,
physical
yes,
body and the mental body.
and the mind. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. Wonderful. So, I'm just checking if anyone has questions. So all of you who've just joined in, if you have any questions about the Ayurvedic perspective of mental health, please go ahead and post it, and we'll get Dr. Sharon to address that. Another point that I want to highlight from what you said, Dr. Sharon, is about the fear and sadness being the primary emotions through which all these other mental health imbalances can sort of develop from, right? So why is it that we are maybe seeing more cases of or more instances of mental health imbalances now? Do you think there is a particular reason? What's your take on it?
there are there's just not one reason. That's the thing. So one of the primary reasons is, if you were aware, now this going on, the concept of the gut microbiome. That is, our gut microbiome has majorly altered since the advent of cesarean sections, and also with the advent of modern farming, where we do not include diversity of food and also diversity of the bacteria that we ingest. So the gut microbiome is considered to be the second brain. So we have a lot of information stored there, and that comes right from birth. And we keep storing it and evolving the nature of it's like I read somewhere, it's like the Amazon forest. There's so much of diversity there. But now, with the kind of food that we're eating and the way we're assimilating things, even pregnant women eating a lot of starchy food in the name of cravings, and a lot of sugary food, all that is also going to impact the health of the child, and also the kind of food that the child eats in the developing age where the brain is just evolving. In that age, when you do not give the right kind of food, then the microbiome gets disturbed. And once the gut microbiome is disturbed, basically the absorption gets disturbed. And there are a lot of essential micronutrients which help the brain to function. So when the brain doesn't get all of that, then the neurotransmitters, like the brain doesn't get connected, the cells don't connect, they don't pass information properly. And then you have this pause and you don't know what to do. And you really are not equipped to fight that. So I think that's one primary reason one of the reasons why we see a raise, because as a generation we are seeing that there is an increase in the, the response to situations are totally altered now, and this is one reason. The other reason is lack of time. Nobody has time for the other person, so there is lack of there's which with the advent of virtual this communication, there's people really have, it's an escape mechanism, so nobody has the strength to sit and listen, and nobody wants to sit and talk, communicate or vent it out also. So that's another issue. And the third problem which I feel is we really do not educate our children. And there's gone are the times when we used to tell moral stories and tell them how to face a situation or what to do, and what's written. We have, see, when we look at all these traditional scriptures and all that, we have a lot of solutions there. But I don't think now anybody has is educating our children there. So they grow up like that, and then I feel this
Yeah, I
entire
mean,
scenario right now is manifested.
yeah. So I think it goes to show that, you can't really remove yourself from the external world, because what's happening outside affects what's happening inside, right?
Yes,
Within you.
yes,
So
yes,
I like that you highlight the developmental aspect of children, that's so important, because I think that
yes,
builds
yes, and
the.
that's it. Really hurts to see that
Hmm.
mothers do not take the that part of it seriously, because we are seeing the impact, and we know that. And I really wish everybody develops that awareness that
Yeah,
your children are your responsibility from your womb, right from that
yeah.
part.
I think, yeah,
But I think
I
when
think.
if we correct that, we can really make some changes in the
Mhm.
next upcoming generation.
Yeah, I think that's the responsibility of both mothers and fathers today.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
yes, that's cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, segueing into the same theme, the importance of diet and sleep when it comes
yeah,
to mental health.
yeah,
What is Ayurveda's take on this? What
yeah,
should we be sleeping, not sleeping, and what kind of
yeah. So,
diet?
yeah. So Ayurveda talks about the three pillars of life, which includes food, sleep, and sex. So these are the three things which hold hold a healthy existence. So that's Ayurveda. So it's like uh, every bit of information out there on food and sleep is applicable to every disease. We're coming to mental disorders in specific. We are Now there are a lot of researches happening where their control trials are happening where they have proven that diet plays a major role in correcting depressive disorders. Like they're saying up to 40% improvement is seen in not just recovering, but also it alters the way you think. So your entire thinking capacity becomes better. You start expanding your thinking capacity, and this is now getting proven through researches. So Ayurveda we never have a particular diet pattern like you eat only this, you eat only vegetables, you eat only fruits. It's not like that. So we believe in diversity of food. So it's about being including a lot of variety into your diet, and it's important that you have a wholesome diet, that is a diet which has enough carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And one important thing is Ayurveda stresses on Shadrasa Ahara, that is including six tastes in your diet.
Hmm.
Okay, in different proportions, but you will have to have six tastes in your diet. And I feel
Hmm.
including this variety of tastes, shadrasas, helps your food to get assimilated properly, which means you have enough micronutrients getting absorbed. So now we see that people want to eat a protein diet, they grill some chicken and put salt and pepper and have it. Yeah, but that's not a wholesome diet. That's not wholesome. There is no shadrasas in it. There, and now you are saying that despite us having a lot of access to food, and variety of food and easy access to food, we are still a generation which is deficit in vitamins and minerals.
Nutrients.
We
Yeah.
need supplements. Well, why is that happening? We have to. I think that's primarily because we are not looking at food as a very wholesome. We're very casual about food. We eat on the way. We sometimes eat half cooked food. We experiment with food. Yeah, so I think once we start looking at food as medicine and
Hmm.
try to stick to the traditional ways of cooking, which involves wholesome food, food which has rice, food which has proteins in the form of dals, food which has fats in the form of fatty acids and good fatty acids in the form of ghee and cold pressed oils,
Hmm.
and also including variety like nuts and fruits
Hmm.
and vegetables. When
Hmm.
you do that and make your diet wholesome, like how we sat on that, sit and eat from that leaf, when you try think of that and you think of your
Hmm.
today's diet, if it tallies, then I think that's one way your mental health is going to improve.
Yeah.
And
So I think
yes, with regard to, yeah,
so. Looking at food as a more wholesome thing rather than in a very reductionist way, I think that's
yeah,
the way to go if you're looking at role of diet when it comes
yeah.
to mental health, right? And what about sleep?
Yeah,
Um,
and sleep, like I said, that's also a very essential part of our being, and how we sleep is very important. So it is not about the number of hours at all. I think you'll find that on my page as well. I've spoken about that. It's not about the number of hours, it's about the quality of your sleep. It's about when you go to bed and when you wake up. And I mean, a healthy person, if we are able to do that, it's like a prophylactic. You are trying to keep your mental disorders at bay. And if you are already suffering from a mental disorder, if you make it a point to do this, to at least wake up on time, I think then you will be life will take you forward, and there will be solutions to issues that are distressing. And sleep has a very major role to play there, because sleep is the time when our brain starts. I think it's like that Inside Out movie. If you have seen
hmm.
that movie on mental health, it's a very nice movie. And
Hmm.
in that movie, if you've seen that, it's the time when you sleep that your memories get consolidated, stored, and thrown out. So if you don't get that
True.
sleep, then this process is messed up. Then you
Hmm.
don't form your islands of happiness. It doesn't happen that way. So that way, I think sleep is important, and it helps build that endocrine connection, and your
Yeah.
hormones are secreted better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sleep is inevitable when it comes to management of mental disorders.
Right. So sleep and rest can be, or any other form of rest can be quite healing and
Yeah,
restorative
healing.
for
Yes,
that. Yes,
yes.
wonderful. All right. Let me just look some questions. If any of you have any questions, please post them. Anything regarding Ayurveda and mental health. So there's, there's one question. If you can, if someone can consult you online, um, what's your
Yeah, they can DM me. I will see.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will. I'll just tag you at the end of the session. So if anyone wants to contact Dr. Sharon, you can do that.
Yes, sure.
So just before we wrap up this session, what's your three key do's and don'ts for someone, to just start practicing it daily? Something very simple, something very doable.
Yeah. So something very doable. I'm going to do. I thought about it. It's not very specific to mental health, but then it can definitely help in mental health too. So which is why I tell my patients it's mandatory for them to do this. So it's like one fruit a day, two
Mm.
vegetables, and a handful of nuts. So that's how it goes. One fruit a day, two vegetables, and a handful of nuts.
That's
And
okay.
always try to include diversity in them. It's not the same fruit. Don't repeat the same fruit. Don't repeat the
Mm.
same vegetables. You need not and should not have potatoes every day, or even carrot and beans every day. We have so much and diversity out there, and we try to go to the market and handpick your vegetables so you know that you can go 14 days, 2 weeks. We've tried this. You can go 2 weeks easily without repeating the vegetable and including two vegetables a day. It is very possible. And so one fruit, and again, fruits also you need not repeat. 7 days you can go easily repetition too. So it's
Mm.
one fruit, two vegetables, and a handful of nuts. And nuts also should include variety. It's not eating cashews or badam only. You try to include variety in your nuts so you get your essential fatty acids there. So that is
Okay.
one point. And also, when it comes to food, yes, hydration. Hydrate yourself. Remind yourself to drink enough water because that also plays a key role in taking those micronutrients inside. So practice this with respect to food. So that's one point that I would like to say. The second point is focus on your sleep pattern, your sleep wake pattern. And as much as possible,
Mm.
try waking up on time. I know there will be days when you don't feel like waking up and you just want to, sleep there. And once in a while it's okay, but other days consciously try to put an effort to get up, get out of that bed. And because there are going to be small and big experiences, even the smallest thing that you see could make an impact in the way that you process things. So if you're sleeping, that's not going to happen. So
Mm.
just try and wake up and give somebody else the responsibility of waking you up or do something, but wake up. So that's another important thing. Second point, yeah. The third
Mm.
point is get involved in outdoor group activity. Try
Mm.
and involve in an outdoor. So I see people doing yoga by themselves, but I think it makes a lot of difference when you are associated with a group or a team. And though now with COVID and all that, we don't have that much, we're not fortunate enough to do that. Some of them, but just try and involve two, three people. Tag with a friend and try and
Yes.
do your activity. That makes a lot of difference. So there is a lot of feel good hormones coming out there, and that's definitely going to make an impact. So these are the
I
three
think.
points that I would like people to try. And because it's easy, it's very, very achievable also, and that's
Very
going to
much.
make a lot of difference.
So
Yes.
diet, sleep, and your community,
Out. Yeah.
how you
Yes.
interact with
Yes.
the community. That's
Yeah.
all right. So just getting to some of the questions. So Shamli asked, not sure if this is the right forum, but is non-veg food absolutely shunned in Ayurveda?
No, not really. Ayurveda does talk of, see, Ayurveda does talk about non-vegetarian food or meat also. But
Mm-hmm.
the entire point of Ayurveda is to feed yourself for your need and not for your greed. And this goes well for vegetarian, non-vegetarian, any kind of food. So once
Mm-hmm.
you start, meat has its own therapeutic properties as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps in a lot of disorders. We need to give meat, and consuming meat might help. But when it becomes a matter of greed, when your tongue wants it, then it becomes an issue. So, vegetarian or non vegetarian, eat what is essential for you. Think about it. Think if you really need it. If it's essential for you, please take that.
So it's, I think, who's eating it and when are they eating it is
Yes, yeah.
essential
If you
to
really
come
need it,
across.
if there is a person who's severely anemic and who needs to eat
Hmm.
liver of a particular
Hmm.
animal or something, it becomes a necessity. We will have to do that. But if you really have the craving for it and you go and binge, then it becomes a disease causing factor.
So need
So,
versus crave.
yeah, need
All
versus
right.
greed.
Okay. And so Priyanka is asking, how does Ayurveda help build self-awareness?
Ayurveda is all about self-awareness because we talk about Di, Dhairya, and Atma, Di Vijnana. So it's
Hmm.
about creating awareness, knowledge about things, about you, about who you are. We always ask this question, who am I? Where am I coming from? What am I? It's always about that. As children also, I think we were taught these things to explore our inner self and to Atma Divya, knowing who you are. And that's very, very important. And that, I think, is Ayurveda's contribution to a self-awareness. And yes, Ayurveda does speak about self-awareness.
I mean, if I can just add a little bit to this from, my limited knowledge of Ayurveda, I think there's something about achara, vichara, and vihara, if I'm not wrong.
Okay,
It's what you do, what you think, and
think and
who you are interacting with. So that is given a lot of importance in Ayurveda, and I think that
yes,
helps
yes,
people
yes. We have an entire concept called Sadvritta also, where we
mm,
are given code of conduct, how you're supposed to behave
mm,
with yourself, with your community. And I think all of these things are not regulations, but they are just ground rules set so that you have a healthy life. It's not for anybody else, but for yourself.
it's just
And
yes.
if you are good, then everything else falls into place. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. There's one more question. Uh, Harish is asking if procrastination is also classified under mental health issue.
Yeah. So yeah, I think yes, because healthy procrastination is fine because you know your priorities and you know that this particular activity can wait one more day. So if you're sorted that way, then okay. But if you're constantly procrastinating, then that means you do not have the desire to get it executed, which means that you lack that particular passion of getting it done, which is again pretty tamasic, which is ignorant in nature. So it could, if it becomes chronic, then yes, it can be brought under one mental health issue.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions we have today. Um, so this was quite an informative session, Dr. Sharon. Looking forward
Thank you.
to more like this. I think there's so much to discuss about the gut microbiome. That's one of my favorite topics personally as well.
Yes, yes, yes. It's
So,
really interesting, and there's a lot to explore, and a lot we can do. It is not like some vague, obscure thing hidden somewhere beyond our access. I don't think it's like that. And it's like recently there was a study which came out which said that 90% of serotonin, that's a stress
mm,
hormone, comes from the gut. So it's basically what you feed your gut. So I think we
yes,
have access. We've gotten our access. And when you know your gut is the root, and it's easy to treat if you have a little bit of willpower,
yes,
it should be possible.
yes. I think like with so many research advancements, I think science is truly on our side. So there's no reason to,
Yes.
live with any imbalances. We just put our mind to it. I think it's quite doable, right?
Yes, very much,
So
very much. I'm very hopeful about this whole thing because
yes,
there is a lot that we can do. And I want people also to be very hopeful because it's not like that hopelessness, worthlessness, helplessness. It's pretty, you can get rid of that. It's possible.
yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you so much for this. All the information and wonderful things you've uh, given us today. So I think we could wrap up this session here, but I'm definitely looking forward to more sessions and to discuss more things with you. So if
I would like to say one thing.
yeah,
There's one thing that I would like to say is
mhm,
to people is that see one the most important thing about mental health is non-compliance. So now people we have here are not the people who are suffering from mental health disorders, but people who are suffering from the people who are suffering from these disorders. So it's important to stop running from therapy because therapy helps,
mhm.
and I think it's very important to get rid of that thing and go to therapy and help yourself. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Yes.
So on that note, we wrap up this session. If anyone's interested, you could follow Dr. Sharon Samuel at Sharon's Ayurveda. I will just link profile here. And if you have any more questions on Ayurveda, or if you know what are the kind of sessions you would like to see more of, please just post it in the comment. That'll help us bring in more content like this. Uh, so with this, I'll wrap up the session. You could look at Eka Meditation app for more such events and all the modules we have on mental health and daily meditation practices, daily movement and breathwork practices, which are under asana and pranayama. So please have a look at that. See you again very soon. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so
Sharon.
much. Thank you, Eka, and thank you, Deepti, for this, for having me here and for this opportunity to talk about mental health, which is the need of the hour. Thank you so
It
much.
was it was a pleasure, Dr. Sharon. All right. Thank you. You have
Bye.
a nice day, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.